Hello, welcome to another video. My name's Timothy McGaw and I'm here to talk to you today all about double exposures in film photography. What are they, how do they work, and why would you want to do them? Specifically, I'm going to be talking about the Mamiya RB67 medium format film camera. That's I've been featuring on my channel for the last couple of videos, but you can apply this to anything digital. You can do double exposures on digital as well, it's just slightly different. And any other film camera, the basics are going to apply, so yeah. So what are double exposures? Double exposures are when you expose the same frame of film multiple times to create multiple images within a single frame, and you can use this to create interesting effects with multiple faces of the same person or interesting overlapping scenes within the same frame, and it's just a cool effect that can create some really interesting photos. There's a lot of really cool people experimenting with this on Instagram. I'll show some of that at the end of the video here. But yeah, it's just something you can do to just have a play around with to create something interesting and different. Since picking up the Mamiya RB67, I've been playing around with this a lot myself, sometimes unintentionally. I'll get into that later on in the video. But yeah, it's just a really cool thing to explore and have fun with. So how do we go about creating a double exposure on this thing right here, the Mamiya RB67 specifically? If I show you just here, obviously the way this camera works is it is just a light-proof box. Light comes in this end and hits the film plane in the film back right here. And what you'll notice on the Mamiya specifically is if I turn it this way, you'll see that right here there's a little switch next to the film advance lever. So what you're telling the camera here is, I'm okay with exposing this single frame of film more than one time to light. Switch it to that position. It won't let you fire the shutter until you wind the film on. But if you do this here, expose that red dot, and then you're saying, hey, I'm okay with exposing this single frame more than one time. It's great because you can fill different parts of the frame with light in really interesting ways, specifically if you're in a studio situation or you're in a dark kind of area with light coming in at a specific angle. You can create shapes, you can fill in areas with light. I like to think of it as a creative way of painting with light. You're deciding where light's going to hit the frame, and you can create all sorts of interesting effects, specifically if you start using gels, different colours in different exposures, and then layering them on top of each other. There's a lot of really cool opportunities to be creative with this. Now you want to be careful with double exposures on this camera, and one of the things that I've done a couple of times is forget to switch this multiple exposure switch back off on the camera, and I've accidentally ended up exposing the same frame twice when I didn't mean to, and in some cases that's turned out interesting. It's been a nice happy accident. So it's always useful to make sure you're checking this, specifically if you're new to the camera, the Mamiya RB67. Okay, so you're in the studio or you're on location and you're creating some double exposures, and I like to use the waist level viewfinder. What I like to do is I like to decide, hey, I'm going to put light in this particular area of the frame, and then I'll look and watch what I'm doing with that particular area of the frame. So when you're planning your double exposures, it's good to have a sort of mental idea of what it is you're trying to achieve. You want to be mindful of the shapes, where they're falling in the frame, and what you plan on doing with them. If you create, for instance, a silhouette shape with a really bright background and then just a dark area where there's a shape that you haven't lit, and then you want to fill that with light, well, it's good to remember, hey, I put that shadow in that area of the frame there, and then if I photograph something it's in that same area with light hitting it, it's going to show through almost like a hole looking through a shape. And it creates a lot of interesting opportunities to create shapes looking through other shapes and then putting similar shapes next to each other. Sometimes things don't necessarily always go as you imagine them, but if you're planning things out well and have a good strong idea of what it is you're trying to achieve, you're going to be in the right ballpark. And then a lot of the times when you see the negatives coming back and you see the final image that you've built up over these multiple exposures within a single frame, it's quite surprising what comes back, and usually it's really good, really interesting stuff. A lot of digital cameras do enable you to do multiple exposures as well. There'll be a setting in the menus, so have a look through there and have a play with it. And it is possible to do it digitally without using that. You can go into Photoshop, you can layer exposures, and that's going to give you more control over the way the exposures are layered. But if you're looking for that sort of in-camera experience of creating a multiple exposure and just having fun with it, I'd really advise doing it just in camera and seeing what you can come up with. For me personally, I just really like the effect it creates in a studio setting, especially playing around with shapes, shadows, light, building up layers, and you can get some really wild looking stuff. There's a photographer I follow on Instagram who does a lot of amazing things with multiple exposures, specifically on film and with coloured lighting and everything like that. His name's Jake Wagner? I don't know how you say his name, but Jake is an amazing photographer. Just playing around with all sorts of different light trails, long exposures, moving the camera around, coloured gels, and just faces within shapes within faces. So go and check him out if you're interested in that. And yeah, multiple exposures. Give it a try, have some fun. Don't forget to set the switch to the right position to enable that. Don't do what I did a couple of times and accidentally expose a really great frame twice with something else. Thank you to everyone who's subscribed to the channel since the last video. Sorry I haven't had a chance to upload a whole lot since then. I've just been quite busy, and I'm also not going to just pump out content for the sake of it on a schedule on this channel. If I've got something interesting that I want to talk about, that I think is a good topic for the channel, I'm going to come on here and speak. If you guys have any ideas for videos that you'd like to see on this channel, if you've got any questions about shooting film or shooting on the Mamiya RB67, hit me with a comment down below, and I'll always reply as much as I can to every single comment. So far I've been keeping up. Feedback and comments have been awesome. The more you guys engage with the content and give me your thoughts, the more I'm going to feel inspired to come on here, so that's great. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell to receive notifications about whenever I post. And yeah, thanks a whole lot for watching, and I will see you in the next video.